Hey people, it's me Tristan, and countering the huge amount of crusaders we're seeing here in the community, all those 6mm crusader armies, I ordered the Fatamid army from Baccus. So this is the army of Saladin from the crusader times. So this is what's left after assembling the army. For comparison, here's a Flames of War man. In the background here is a 28mm female figure, though I must say they are bigger than I expected them to be. So here's the light cavalry, includes 6 on a base, and I'm using those 20x40mm bases. I thought they're light cav, they can be like 6 per base. And here's the heavy cav. So the heavy cav, I decided to glue 10 per base. They're actually smaller or like shorter in length than the light cavalry miniatures. The heavy cavalry's idea is to just crash into stuff, into enemy lines and break it, and I thought that if they're in a tight formation it will be more menacing and stuff. So yeah, I assembled them like this. So once I assemble them, I go ahead and use that wall paste and cover a base. That's just my opinion. Anyways, when people paint them separately, the miniatures look way better, but in the end, you know, you can't get into all those little in between the miniatures with your basing, and I know if I'm gonna start painting the base after I've painted tiny miniatures, I'm gonna just mess up the paint job on the miniatures, and you know. So these are my two commanders. This is the heavy command, and this looks more like a light cavalry command. When I googled it, most of the people have based the archers like 4 or 5 archers per base, but I wanted it to look a bit more like dense. There's 4 bases of spearmen, 21 dudes on one base, and this is why I based them before painting, because you see, if I would have painted them up separately and glued them on like that, it would have been a nightmare to paint up the base beneath or like underneath them and stuff. Just because I think like this tightly packed infantry unit looks, I think it looks pretty cool. Just to get things going, I painted up the first unit. It's the Bedouin cavalry. It's like scouts. So this is basically the style I'm gonna go for. You see the base. As for the color scheme, basically everything is using 2-color system. You know, the blue just gave a dark blue under like base coat, and then just like mid blue highlights and stuff like that. We'll see what happens with that. So now I'm gonna show you the army shot. So basically this is the army that I got with these extra dudes that did not fit on the bases. Just another note on the basing, you know. I'm not saying it's the right way, it's just the way I want to do it. I really like the outcome of Nick from British Legion. His Crusaders, 6mm Crusaders are really cool. Individual shield designs and everything, it's really cool. You've done a great job on them. At this point I'm actually thinking about using Kings of War rules, because Chair told me a lot about that game system, and it seems like really simple and easy. And I think it'll work well with the 6mm Human Kingdoms Scout Cavalry, Light Cavalry, Knights, Spear Phalanx and Missile Troops. So it's all this basically comes up to something like 2,000 points. Thank you, Jer. And also, if you want to see more 6mm stuff, I suggest you check out Color of the Gods. I think he ignited the 6mm flame in the community, so check him out. Also, Cheese Ninja Tabletop is doing some. Nick from British Legion, of course. Justin is doing some, and I remember Dan Buster also did for the Game of Thrones project. He did 6mm Targaryens with Macedonians. So the links for all these channels I mentioned will be down in the description box, so you can see. Anyways, she went for the 6mm Goblin Army. So the base, that stuff we got from Baccus as well. You know, this 20x40 bases. And here's the Goblin Army. So here's a bunch of commanders, and which is really cool, there's a chariot here. I really like this dude. It's like a super giant sword man, or goblin with a super giant sword. There's one on a wolf. There's like this wizard with a funny wizard hat. And here's a chariot. And the rest of the army is basically made up of wolf riders. I think they look pretty good. And if you compare them to the cavalry, actually the wolves are pretty huge. The wolves are horse-sized. And yeah, there's not much diversity between them. There's like just one troop strip with 3 guys, and there's like command strip with 3 different guys. Infantry. For infantry as well, there's 2 different strips. There's one with 4 troopers and one with the command strip. Comparing to human archers, they are pretty big, so you couldn't actually say they're orcs or goblins or whatever, you know. You can make your choice. And I think it should make out also something like 2,000 points in Kings of War. After seeing the miniatures, she said that she might not want to paint them up, and maybe she's gonna make me paint them up. We'll see. This is our intro to 6 mil stuff. I'm pretty excited. I'm not really satisfied with how the first unit came out, but you know, they're 6 mil, and on the tabletop or something will, you know, just work fine. Anyways, yeah, thank you very much for watching. Keep it safe, and I will talk to you in the next one, which will be a Ronin battle report. No!